بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وعظيمنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ثم أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, less than a month ago, as has been mentioned earlier, we lost 3 stars in our community. Dia Baraka, Yusr Abu Salha, and her sister Razan, less than a month ago, were brutally executed in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 2 days after that, I had the opportunity to spend some time with some MSA students at a local university, in which I addressed them. And then later on, after that address, we had a vigil and a rally in commemoration of those 3 beautiful souls. And along with the Muslim community, we were joined by Protestants, Catholics, Jewish Americans, Sikhs, and even people who are agnostics and atheists that came and joined us in solidarity. And at that moment, after that vigil, and I saw the tears in many of the young Muslims' eyes, some of them came up to me and hugged me, thanked me for my presence, thanked me for the work that CAIR does. It just reinstilled in my mind our purpose as CAIR, and why in these days and times, CAIR is more needed than ever. In our community priorities, many of us have placed combating Islamophobia and civil rights, has made it a secondary or even lesser issue than a secondary issue. And I'm here to tell you today, dear brothers and sisters, with the climate that is out here today, and a number of incidences that have taken place recently, from here in Michigan to Kansas City to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, combating Islamophobia and standing up for our civil and human rights should be the #1 priority of the American Muslim community. Not secondary, it should be a #1 priority. You've heard about the awesome litigation that our sister Lena Masri has been involved in, cutting-edge litigation. The Safe Spaces Initiative led by Sister Warda in helping to institute positive policy changes that help preempt discrimination, at least by the letter of the law. But one very important aspect that I would like to touch on for a couple of moments is our work in terms of joining coalitions and building solidarity with other marginalized people in these United States of America. Justice does not mean just us. Justice cannot be selfish. Either we all are striving towards social justice and justice in the society, or there is inequity, there is not justice, because by definition, adala or justice relates to balance. That all relationships are in their proper places in the society. That people have equal access, and that they're able to express their full human potential with dignity. For instance, CAIR Michigan is one of the leading members, and I'm on the steering committee of the Campaign to Take on Hate. The Campaign to Take on Hate is an initiative that falls underneath NAC, the National Network of Arab American Communities, in which we are working to start community dialogues amongst various communities of color, as well as at the same time mobilizing around certain policies at the state and federal level that marginalize minorities in these United States of America. And as a matter of fact, my colleague, she wasn't able to make it, but my colleague and friend Rashida Tlaib and I actually were on Chuck Stokes' Spotlight this morning talking about the campaign to take on hate and our measures that we are implementing to combat Islamophobia. Besides that, CAIR Michigan is a leader and part of a cohort of a cutting-edge project through Wayne State University's Law School. A project acronym is DEAL, the Detroit Equity Action Lab, that is led by our friend Peter Hammer right here at Detroit at the Wayne State Law School, in which CAIR Michigan is one of the voices at the table, talking with other racial justice organizations and advocates, talking about some of these issues such as institutional racism and structural racism and how it affects all communities of color, but especially the American Muslim community at these days and times. And for your information, brothers and sisters in Islam, Islamophobia is not some sort of weird new type of disease in the United States of America. Islamophobia is nothing but a branch on the tree of structural racism in these United States of America. So we have to address structural racism as a whole, and if we address structural racism as a whole, that in of itself will help get rid of Islamophobia. We have partnered with our friends at ACLU Michigan and Detroit Coalition Against Police Brutality in relationship to stop and frisk type of activities that have been taking place and were taking place by the Detroit Police Department, in which, by the way, we had 2 young Muslims who were profiled, stopped, and frisked last year outside of a mosque, after their Eid prayer, were stopped and frisked. We're working on this type of issue as well regarding stop or frisk, because at the end of the day, in our cities, when we have young men subjected to racial profiling and police brutality, when the police officer comes and brutalizes them or humiliates them, they can't see their religion. Michael Brown, Eric Gardner could have been Muslim just as easily as they were Christian. So this is our issue as well. As what was mentioned earlier regarding yesterday being the 50th anniversary of what is called Bloody Sunday, the March on Selma, going across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And Edmund Pettus, by the way, was a former Confederate Army officer who later founded the Ku Klux Klan in the state of Alabama, by the way. That's who that bridge is named after. After 50 years of that march, there were white Americans, there were Jewish Americans, there were Latinos that joined African Americans in that march, including Representative John Lewis and then later Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in that pivotal moment in American history. But as they were joined by people who were not African American in solidarity, it was the African American people who stood up and took leadership. They are the ones who set the agenda. They are the ones who called the people and gave the action steps about what needed to be done. They were the ones who educated their non-black allies about what solidarity looks like. And I'm saying today, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, that as we have partners for justice in our broader society, and that we are seeking to build coalitions with people, we are the ones who have to stand up for ourselves. We are the ones that have to take lead on civil rights here in America. We are the ones that are supposed to be educating the broader society about what we would like to see in this pluralistic society and what justice looks like from our faith tradition. This is our responsibility. And CAIR Michigan is your community organization in the state of Michigan with this vision, who is reaching out outside of our community, outside of our religious and ethnic silos, building solidarity with other people so that we all can walk together to make America live up to its promise that it has never lived up to. That we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. May Almighty God bless each and every one of you. I ask you all for your sincere prayers. We've had recently, in recent months, we've had CAIR staffers in various chapters that have received death threats. I ask you to pray to God for the protection of CAIR board members and staffers. And I also ask for your prayers that Almighty God strengthens us, that He gives us more moral courage and grants us more wisdom when we deal with our cases and speak to the media. Assalamu alaikum.